here's David John Oates, and this is the weekly Reverse Speech Show. Glad you could all join me today, where we bring you all the latest news and reversals and everything about reverse speech is what this show is devoted to. 30 years today, not today, this month. It's April the 1st. So 30 years ago, in April of 1987, Greg and I wrote the theory of reverse speech. So 30-year anniversary this month. And the way it came about was we were researching, looking at primarily backward messages in music back in those days, researching the whole phenomenon of backward masking, and we accidentally stumbled across it in normal human speech. And Neil Armstrong walking on the moon was the very first speech reversal we ever found in speech, and I remember that very, very well. The way it came about was we were looking back into old radio broadcasts to see how far back reverse speech went, so we got this audio recording of a compilation of famous radio broadcasts, and I was running the whole tape backwards. And looking for songs, actually. Wasn't even thinking about looking for anything in speech. And the very first thing I heard when I ran it back was the two words spacewalk. So I'll play those two words. I didn't hear the man will at that stage, just spacewalk. So and then I played it forwards and was astounded to hear Neil Armstrong walking on the moon. I thought, wow, this is a spacewalk.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And, of course, the whole reversal says man will spacewalk.
Man will spacewalk. Man will spacewalk. Man will spacewalk.
And then the second one I found was a live commentary of JFK's assassination. These are historic clips, because there's the first clips that we documented the backward messages in speech on. So here's the live commentary of the JFK one.
Just a moment, please. Something has happened in the motorcade route. Stand by, please. Parkland Hospital, there has been a shooting. Parkland Hospital has been advised to stand by for a severe gunshot wound. The president's car is now going past me. The limousine is now traveling at a very high rate of speed.
And backwards it says he shot bad. Hold it. Try and look up.
He shot bad. Hold it. Try and look up. He shot bad. Hold it. Try and look up.
And let me run the whole track backwards for you, and you'll hear it amongst the gibberish. This is how I first heard it. And there it is, quite clear there. I'll do that again. Right, there it is. Yeah, so there we go. So that's the second one. Oh, look, seeing we're looking at historical broadcasts, let's see if I can pull up the third one that I found in speech. This was John Lennon. Where is that? You know what? I bet I can't put my hands on it right at the top of my head. That'd be right. Hadn't planned on talking about this today. Yeah, John Lennon, when the Beatles died. And he says, not when the Beatles died, when Brian Epstein died. And he says backwards, oh, here it is. I've got it. Okay, so here's the third one I found in speech. All of this was on the same day. This was all from that compilation of radio broadcasts. So here's the third one in speech. This is John Lennon talking about the death of Brian Epstein, their manager.
I understand that this afternoon Maharishi conferred with you all. Could I ask you what advice he offered you?
He told us not to get overwhelmed by grief, and to whatever thoughts we have of Brian, to keep them happy, because any thoughts we have of him will travel to him wherever he is.
And here he says backwards, can't be Beatles now.
Can't be Beatles now.
Can't be Beatles now. Can't be Beatles now.
Can't be Beatles now. A very interesting statement, because many people attribute the eventual breakup of the Beatles to the death of Brian Epstein. So there you got John Lennon saying can't be Beatles now. Anyway, so it was those three examples that put us on the search for backward messages in speech, and it started running speech backwards. You know, we taped a room conversation and ran it backwards, and heard these reversals, which was absolutely quite amazing to hear all these backward messages. Then Greg and I wrote our first book, Beyond Backward Masking, which has just been re-released. And in the book, we presented the theory of reverse speech and speech complementarity. So let me just read a small section of this book out to you, okay? This is on page 20, subsection, a definition of reverse speech. So, with evidence such as the above and other examples that will be outlined in this book, we believe reverse speech does exist, and a theory must be formulated to explain it. We are now walking on fresh ground, and we shall be proposing new ideas to account for this most strange and interesting phenomenon. Considering that the complementarity we can perceive in forward and reverse speech exists in other areas of nature other than music, we believe that speech reversals are natural occurrence, totally separate and distinct from intentionally and humanly inspired backward masking. We have termed this phenomenon reverse speech and speech complementarity, and it may be described in the following way. Human speech has two distinctive and complementary functions and modes. The primary mode is spoken forwards and is constructed by conscious cognitive processes. The secondary mode is spoken simultaneously with the primary mode, is reversal of the latter's phonetic structure, and is constructed by subconscious involuntary processes. These two modes of speech are dependent upon each other and form an integral part of communication. In the dynamics of interpersonal communication, both modes of speech combined communicate the total psyche of the person, conscious as well as subconscious. The implications of this are far-reaching and profound. Reverse speech and speech complementarity may very well be the key that unlocks many deep secrets in the unconscious mind, as well as that dimension of the human psyche commonly referred to in religion as the soul. So there we go. That's from the very first book on reverse speech, Beyond Backward Masking, which has been re-released. You can get your copy by going to beyondbackwardmasking.com. That's beyondbackwardmasking.com. It's a dedicated website, or you can go to the Reverse Speech product page and get your copy of Beyond Backward Masking. A very historic book. And if you really want to get into reverse speech books, I've got a special going on right now on hardcover. If you buy all four hardcovers of all four of my books available in hardcover, which is Beyond Backward Masking, Hidden Messages in Human Communication, A New Theory About Language, and Unveiling the Truth, we're offering a 33% discount on all four of those books if you buy all four of them, and they'll be autographed and made out to you. So go to what you can get that special from the website. Go to the website in the product section, and you'll see it. You'll see it up there. So you can either get Beyond Backward Masking, go to beyondbackwardmasking.com, or get the special of all four hardbacks of my book at a 33% discount from the Reverse Speech website. So there you go. Okay, all right. If you want to call in and speak to me during the show today, the phone number to call in on is 844-769-2944. That's 844-769-2944. Would love to hear from you as always. Okay, now my guest in the second hour of the show is a client of mine, Alex Nelson. And she's got quite an amazing story to tell about the success of the session work process in her life. Anyway, so she's going to be going to the second hour, so we're looking forward to having her on. And the remainder of the first hour, as well as taking your phone calls, if you'd like to call in, I'm going to dig back into my archives and play you some reversals from the past. This is what I've been doing over the last few shows, going back into the archives. So here's a sum on Ron Paul from his presidential bid in 2011-12. So here is the forwards.
The main purpose of the Constitution was to limit and restrict the federal government, and the purpose was to protect liberty.
And here he says, all effort hurts you.
All effort hurts you.
Huh.
All effort hurts you. All effort hurts you.
Huh. I wonder why he's saying all effort hurts you. Okay, all right, here's the next one.
This doesn't mean they had glee about 9/11. That's a total misinterpretation. They had pleasure in knowing that they had an excuse now to do what they've been wanting to do for so long. And what did they do? They marched into Iraq.
And here he says, purpose in the lost.
Purpose in the lost.
Purpose in the lost. Purpose in the lost.
Huh. Purpose in the lost. Well, they rushed into Iraq, didn't they? Maybe that's the purpose in the lost. Who knows? Okay. All right, next one along.
But the one thing that I'd caution is some type of an overreaction. And what if you say what is true, but they've been saying that for 10 years or so. So it may or may not be true.
And this reversal is, and yes, the battle with this show.
And yes, maybe with this show.
Huh.
And yes, maybe with this show. And yes, maybe with this show.
Okay, and here's the next one along.
But all the Middle East is unstable because of this. Now it's Tunisia, next it's Egypt, and it's going to keep going because all the problems are there because the people don't like us propping up their dictators.
Now this is actually quite a profound reversal, but Jesus sent us the one. Wow. All right, that's actually a very profound reversal, but Jesus sent us the one. The one is actually a metaphor for the Holy Spirit, or the divine Spirit of God, however you understand that as being. Of course, according to biblical literature, Jesus ascended into heaven to send us the Holy Spirit. So, but Jesus sent us the one is actually a very theologically correct statement. If you're into theology, I don't know whether you are or not, but that's what Jesus did when he allegedly ascended into heaven, was to send us the one, or to send us the Holy Spirit. So let's play that one again. Here's the forwards.
But all the Middle East is unstable because of this. Now it's Tunisia, next it's Egypt, and it's going to keep going because all the problems are there because the people don't like us propping up their dictators.
And here's reversal, but Jesus sent us the one. So there we go. A very, very interesting reversal. And okay, so let's move along to the next one here, and we'll just have to scroll down. I actually went off topic momentarily, so where are we? Here we go. Okay, so here's the next one.
It contributed to our debt, billions and billions of dollars, and all we get is chaos from it and instability.
And this one says, egg on you.
Egg you on.
Egg you on.
Egg you on. Egg you on.
Egg you on, huh?
Egg you on.
Egg you on.
Okay, all right, okay. Here's the next one.
Have a foreign policy that makes common sense, treat people like we want to be treated, and then maybe they would want to emulate us and say freedom does work and we ought to try it.
That's what it says, grow sad, my youth.
Grow sad, my dear.
Grow sad, my dear. Grow sad, my dear.
Grow sad, my youth. His young, effervescent spirit will grow sad. Maybe, I don't know, he hasn't been on the campaign trail for a while, has he? It was his son who was on the campaign trail. Maybe he lost his youthful vigor. However, here's a reversal that communicates the opposite message. Here's the forwards.
Government is crumbling and the people are upset, not only with their government, but they're upset with us for propping up that puppet dictator for all those years.
And this one says, have fun, you're powerful.
Have fun, you're powerful.
Huh.
Have fun, you're powerful.
Yeah.
Have fun, you're powerful.
Yeah, all right, okay, yeah, all right. All right, and let me see, here is the next one.
There's nothing wrong with what the founders talked about. They talked about having friendships and trading, getting along with people, and staying out of the entangling alliance in the internal affairs of foreign nations when it's none of our business.
And this is, I'll beat them all.
Go beat them all.
Huh.
Go beat them all. Go beat them all.
Okay, all right, and here's the next one.
And the military is not equated to defense. Defense spending is one thing. Military spending is what Eisenhower called the military-industrial complex, and we have to go after that.
And here he says, it knows that you're less safe.
Yes, no, left safe.
Huh.
Yes, no, left safe.
I'll be bothered.
Yes, no, left safe.
Yeah, okay, well, he's talking about the military-industrial complex, which, of course, Eisenhower warned us, America, about in his final speech. Yeah. So, anyway, okay. All right, so next one along. Here we go.
There's been a lot of talk about the budget deficit, and that's something that I was concerned about, just a few years back, like 1976. And that's why I haven't voted for any appropriation bills during that period of time either.
And this one says, look at this mess.
This mess?
Yeah, all right, okay, whatever that means. Look at this mess. All right, okay, so here's the next one.
That family, the American family, has $40, $50, $60 billion, nobody knows, stashed away in other countries, other areas of your money, and that is true.
And this reversal says, please kiss your faith.
Please kiss your faith.
Oh, yeah.
Please kiss your faith. Please kiss your faith.
Huh. I guess he's got a religious faith. I don't know anything about him. But Jesus knows the one, or sent us the one, and please kiss your faith would imply some sort of spiritual leanings. Here's the next one.
Even today, I mean, if you're talking about criminal acts of violence, murder, manslaughter, robbery, that's all a state issue.
And here he says, I'll slam her drums.
I'll slam murderums. I'll slam murderums. I'll slam murderums.
Oh, okay, let's hit the forwards on that again. Here's the forwards.
Even today, I mean, if you're talking about criminal acts of violence, murder, manslaughter, robbery, that's all a state issue.
And I'll slam her drums.
I'll slam murderums. I'll slam murderums. I'll slam murderums.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. I'm not going to play all of these. I'm just skipping over some of the best ones. Here's an interesting one.
I was raised in a system, in a family that was rather poor, but I didn't even know it. It was during the Depression, World War II, and we didn't have very much.
And this one says, I want to be in the dark.
It wasn't in the dark. It wasn't in the dark.
It wasn't a bit, Doc.
That was not the best reversal in the world. Here's another one.
That you have to know why we have a recession and why we have unemployment before you can solve the problem. And the financial bubbles are created by excessive credit and stimulation by the Federal Reserve.
I'm shelling its snare.
I'm shelling its snare.
Oh, that's clear.
I'm shelling its snare. I'm shelling its snare.
So there you go. There's a few reversals on Ron Paul. And also researched in that year was TWA 800, the plane that went down off of New York Harbor. A lot of controversy around that. Was it shot down or wasn't it? Here are reversals that my son found, actually. My late son, Michael Oates, who was very much into reverse speech. He unfortunately drowned in 2001. You can go to his website. Well, actually, if you go to my personal website, davidoates.com, and scroll down, you can see Michael's website down the bottom and a little memorial to him on davidoates.com. So here's some of the reversals that he found talking about the TWA 800, which allegedly was shot down. The official cause is sparks in the fuel tank. Anyway, so here's the first reversal.
We felt the necessity to stand up here and talk about what we did.
And I'll play you that reversal when we come back from our break. Don't touch that keyboard, folks. Right after this.
What if we already know how to prevent and to reverse every known so-called disease? What if the government is in cahoots with the allopathic system to hide this information from you to keep you weak and enslaved to their system? What if living a higher quality of life than you ever thought possible was available to you now? Well, it's true. It's easier and more cost-effective than you think, and so life-changing that your only regret will not be having done it sooner. Because you already know what the answer is. Royal Velvet Pure. You've heard Jeff talk about it. You've heard the incredible testimonies that it has scores of benefits and it works for everyone. Now you may not know this. We have partnered with Jeff to empower you, giving you an opportunity we do not give anyone else. When you buy 2 Royal Velvet Pure, we give you another one free. Want to take that first step toward freedom and positive transformation? Go to royalvelvetnow.com. Click on the rinse icon in the upper right-hand corner or call us toll-free 1-877-488-7423.
Would you like to change your life? Maybe access your deepest potential? Do you have blocks that hold you back or long-term issues you haven't been able to resolve? Then Reverse Speech Session Work is for you. With Reverse Speech Session Work, your voice is recorded and then analysed for speech reversals. These reversals will give a detailed look into the unconscious mind and pinpoint precise reasons for current behavioural problems. Then following another recording, a series of metaphoric journeys into the unconscious mind are mapped out and delivered to you. These journeys will change deep unconscious structures and hence current behaviour. Change your life today. Sign up for Reverse Speech Session Work. Go to www.reversespeech.com or call 503-568-7077. Okay, we are back. This is David Oates. Call-in number once again if you want to call in to speak to me. I love getting your calls. I actually get quite excited when a caller calls in. Number is 844-769-2944. That's toll free in the United States. 844-769-2944. Don't be fooled by my accent. This program is coming out of America, so it is a toll-free number. All right, we're looking at reversals on TWA 800, which were found by my son, Michael Oates, my late son. He actually would be 37 this year had he lived. All right, so here's the thoughts.
We felt the necessity to stand up here and talk about what we did.
And backwards, we assassinated it.
We assassinated.
We assassinated. We assassinated.
Huh. We assassinated it. Okay. Next one.
But if it does, we'll jump in there with both feet as quickly as possible.
And we flogged the wing.
We flogged the wind.
We flogged the wind. We flogged the wind.
And some people claim that it was the wing that the missile hit. So that's an interesting reversal given that statement. Here's the next one.
And I don't say this lightly. I'd like to thank the media. The media is the way that we put this story out. It allowed us to stand up day in and day out.
And here it says, we have the killer. So that tells me that they know who did it, and it was a deliberate act. We assassinated it, we flogged the wing, we have the killer. That's pretty straightforward, isn't it? Here's the next one.
Operational or procedural questions inevitably arise, but due in no small measure to the leadership of Director Free and Jim Kallstrom.
And this one says they sure deal with it.
They sure deal with it. They sure deal with it. They sure deal with it.
Yeah, okay. Here we have another one.
SAC Joe Canamessa, who so expertly ran and coordinated all the activities on the ocean, the dive, the recovery of all the material.
And he says, I erased them.
We erased them.
We erased them. We erased them.
Don't know what he means by I erased them. Maybe erase some key records. Here's the next one.
The investigation I've just described to you was done primarily by the men and women of the Terrorist Task Force here in New York, augmented by many FBI agents from around the country and many others from this office.
And this one says, remember, they'll be lame.
Remember, they'll be lame.
Huh.
Remember, they'll be lame. Remember, they'll be lame.
And then the lucky last reversal.
We asked the FBI's James Kallstrom about Salinger's scenario.
That's not true, Sam. It didn't happen.
You're 100% confident of that?
I am as confident as I can be in this business. Sam, it didn't happen.
This is the bandit mess.
A bandit mess.
A bandit mess. A bandit mess.
Interesting. A bandit. Was it a rogue missile that took out TWA 800? The conspiracy theories still abound. Many people did. Okay. All right. Okay. No worries. All right. Next reversal along is we are looking at reversals from von Braun, Eric von Braun. Okay. This should be interesting. This is a recording I started to do and didn't finish it. So here we go. Eric von Braun, of course, a German rocket scientist who came over to America after the war.
Started scrounging around for equipment that was put in there.
Yes.
And in early 1931, the first rocket motors were fired up in this on these grounds.
And this one is, and they look Sultan. Huh. I'll be bothered. Quite a clear reversal. A Sultan is a metaphor for greatness, grandeur. Interesting. Okay, here's the next one.
That the Kegeldüse had performed, had produced these 7 kilograms of thrust for 90 seconds.
And this one says, began the saucer. Well, that's an interesting reversal, isn't it? Began the saucer. What's he saying by that? Did he start working on flying saucers or discs for the American government? I don't know. Next one along.
Which means Society for Space Travel. I must say that our sights were set high from the very outset.
And this one says, bloody summer.
Bloody summer.
Huh.
Bloody summer.
Well, that's clear.
Bloody summer.
Sounds like something I'd say. Bloody summer. Don't like summer. Give me winter. We're into winter now in Australia. It's quite cold outside, actually. I've got my heaters on in the house. Because it's autumn here, we're going into our winter and you're going into your summer. Incidentally, I'm going to be in America in May of this year. If you want to come and see me, I'm lecturing in Ashland, Oregon on May the, hang on, I'll get the exact date for you. Ashland, Oregon on, that's May the, May the 27th, Saturday, May the 27th. So if you want to make the trip to Ashland, Oregon and meet me and hear me lecture, email me after the show. backwards@reversespeech.com is my email address. backwards@reversespeech.com. Very easy email address to remember, and I'll send you all the details. But yeah, going to be in Ashland, Oregon for a lecture on the 27th of May. And my documentary film crew will be there. We're doing our last shoots for the doco. So that's going to be exciting. So, you may get your face on the documentary if you come along to the lecture in Ashland, Oregon on Saturday, the 27th of May. So I'm in America for a month. I actually land on the 27th of April. So, I'm leaving in 4 weeks' time. I'm in America for a month, and then I'm off to London for a lecture, and actually a couple of lectures in London. So, that should be interesting. I'm there for 2 weeks, and then back home, spending a week in Europe on the way back, just traveling around, and then back to Australia. So, the other thing I should mention, which I forgot to mention when we first started the show, is of course the latest training class that starts tomorrow, April 1st. Today, if you're in Australia, if you're in America, it's tomorrow, April 1st. So, if you want to join this class, you better get in fast, okay? And, you can join up by going to reversespeech.com or send me an email at backwards@reversespeech.com, and I will get you in the class. Okay, so we are looking at some reversals on von Braun. Here's the next one.
I think she had worked as a seamstress for a while or something. At any rate, she knew quite well how to make the little parachute.
Yeah, well, she had been.
And this one says, must allow wolf search.
Must allow wolf search.
Huh.
Must allow wolf search. Must allow wolf search.
Okay, well, I guess he's looking and seeking for answers. A wolf. Maybe he's motivated and driven. Here's the next one.
Every little success that we had, we proudly considered a first in history.
And this reversal says, seen it suffer.
Seen it suffer.
Seen it suffer. Seen it suffer.
Huh. Okay. All right, next one along.
It is usually called the German Rocket Society. Its real name was Verein für Raumschifffahrt, which means Society for Space Travel.
And here he says that Soul Man reveals it.
That Soul Man reveals it.
I'll be bothered.
That Soul Man reveals it.
Yes, it is.
That Soul Man reveals it.
He's talking about a space agency forwards. Let's play the forwards again.
It's usually called the German Rocket Society. Its real name was Verein für Raumschifffahrt, which means Society for Space Travel.
Society for Space Traveler. That Soul Man reveals it.
That Soul Man reveals it.
That Soul Man reveals it. That Soul Man reveals it.
So I am presuming he is a Soul Man, and he is revealing this information. Okay, here's the next one.
Installed in Berlin, which is a kind of Something
Bureau of Standards.
like our Bureau of Standards.
Proving grounds.
And he says that Sol we bore hell.
That's all we bore.
Wow.
That's all we bore.
Yeah.
That's all we bore.
Wow. And next one along.
Lang changed his mind in one respect. He had the letter sent as a telegram. It was several pages long. And then over came to Berlin.
And this one is Love with the Devil.
Near with me, devil.
Near with me, devil. Near with me, devil.
I think it says near the love with the devil.
Near with me, devil.
No, it's not near.
Near with me, devil. Near with me, devil.
Yeah, just the love with the devil. And then the last verse I got on von Braun is this one here.
One of the bigger types, which needed both hands to lift up. The smaller types could be lifted by a strong man with one hand. Then was demonstrated to the German army.
And this reversal says, they know your men will serve it.
No, nem will serve it.
Wow.
No, nem will serve it.
Yeah, nice and clear.
No, nem will serve it.
Hang on, let's hear the forwards again.
One of the bigger types, which needed both hands to lift up. The smaller types could be lifted by a strong man with one hand. Then was demonstrated to the German army.
Okay, talking about demonstrating some flying machine to the German army. And they know your men will serve it.
No, nem will serve it.
No, nem will serve it. No, nem will serve it.
Well, they know your men will serve it. Serve the machine, serve the device, look after it. I'm not too sure. Anyway, Wernher von Braun, that was. Thanks to Naomi in Canada who communicated that information to me. Wernher von Braun. All right, still digging into the archives. We are going to look at the reversals on the United Kingdom debates in 2010. This must be. Here's then Prime Minister Gordon Brown.
But I do know how to run the economy in good times and in bad.
And backwards he says, hear the knock. Here we go. Oops.
Hear the knock.
Huh.
Hear the knock. Hear the knock.
I guess he's knocking on the door, wanting to stay in office. Here's the next one.
Crisis becoming calamity, and to stop a recession becoming a depression. And as a result of that, Britain is now on the road to recovery.
Oh, but the reverse is run, Satan.
Run, Satan.
Run, Satan. Run, Satan.
I don't know. Was Gordon Brown possessed by the devil? I don't think so. But anyway, here's the next one.
Well, I accept it's been tough in these last 2 years with the recession.
And this one says, seen the fuss.
Seen the fuss.
Seen the fuss. Seen the fuss.
Okay, here's the next one along. Here we go.
What David would do in an emergency budget in a few weeks' time is for ideological reasons take £6 billion out of the economy.
And here she says, there's diamond in it.
There's diamond in it.
Huh.
There's diamond in it. There's diamond in it.
Yeah, I can hear that one okay. Yeah, no worries. All right, next one along.
And if you vote Conservative next Thursday, we can start to get to work on Friday.
Okay, this is David Cameron. And here he says, scan with the verse.
Scan with the verse.
Scan with the verse. Scan with the verse.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, he's just looking at all his options. Scan with the verse. And here we have David Cameron again.
Retail banks, banks that you and I put our deposits into, they should not be behaving like casinos, taking wild bets.
And this one says, we have him on the shed.
We have him on the shed.
I'll be bothered.
We have him on the shed. We have him on the shed.
Well, he's running against Gordon Brown, so we have him on the run, I guess. Okay, next one along.
We will keep tax credits, but for families earning over £50,000, we think we can't afford the child tax credit. That's one of the savings that we're being upfront and frank about.
This one says, Wolf will lock you.
Wolf will lock you.
Wolf will lock you. Wolf will lock you.
Yeah, that's certainly there. Maybe he's going to get locked up and become ineffective. Here's the next one.
And we need to be frank about this, and we were the first to say that cuts would have to be made.
All right, this one is, yes, it's surf for the win. And, of course, David Cameron did win the election. Yes, it's surf for the win.
Yes, it's surf for the win.
Yes.
Yes, it's surf for the win.
Certainly there.
Yes, it's surf for the win.
So he's moving towards the victory. So this is predicting his eventual victory in the election. So here it is again. Yes, it's surf for the win.
Yes, it's surf for the win.
Yes, it's surf for the win. Yes, it's surf for the win.
And of course, we've seen this in reverse speech many, many times, discussed on the show many, many times too. How reverse speech can give us a window into the future. Here's one of my favourite reversals on David Cameron. This is 2 weeks before the election.
So we stop the jobs tax next year. That means saving one out of every £100 that the government spends.
And here it says, you rev it up now.
You rev it up now.
You rev it up now. You rev it up now.
In other words, he's getting his election campaign revved up. He's in the final week or 2 weeks, however long it was. And he's revving up his rhetoric, moving in, getting ready for the ultimate election, which is just around the corner. All right, here we have Nick Clegg, who Cameron went into a coalition with Nick Clegg during his first term in office. I don't know the names of the parties. Anyway, so Nick Clegg was Deputy Prime Minister, I believe.
We have set out in our manifesto, you can have a look at it, in the back pages, we've set out numbers.
And here he says, and I want it all.
And I'm on it on.
And I'm on it on. And I'm on it on.
Well, he might have wanted it all, but he didn't get it all because he came in second behind Cameron and had to take the subservient role as a minor coalition partner.
None of the political parties have spelt out all the details. Some of them are simply not possible to spell out now, but clearly more work will need to be done. We've gone further than others.
And here he says, go warm.
Go warm.
Go warm. Go warm.
This is actually what we call an internal command. It's an instruction from his unconscious, telling him to be alive and active. Okay? And gee whiz, and this reversal, okay.
But something which I think would make a huge difference to us all as we deal with these very difficult decisions about how to balance the books.
And here it says backwards, see the weed, use it.
See the weed, use it.
Are we bothered?
See the weed, use it. See the weed, use it.
Well, that could mean two things. Weed could be marijuana. He could be smoking marijuana before his speech. See the weed, use it. Or weed is also a metaphor for emotional junk, garbage, contamination. He could be seeing problems in the other party and using them as a weak point. So here's that verse again. See the weed, use it.
See the weed, use it.
See the weed, use it. See the weed, use it.
All right, okay. So next one along. Here we go.
Give the money back to people so that they pay no income tax on the first £10,000 that you earn. That's £700 back in the pocket.
Here it says, the surf from disgust.
And that's turf from disgust.
Huh.
And that's turf from disgust. And that's turf from disgust.
I need some current reversals on England, everyone. If anyone's got any current English reversals, send them to me, because the .co.uk site's going up in a week or two. That's reversespeech.co.uk. And we need some current English reversals. I've got some to put up there, but I don't have many. So if anyone's got any on Theresa May, for example, current Prime Minister, send them along to me, because I need them for the .co.uk website. See what you can do. I don't know. You may not. See what happens. Okay, so here is the next reversal.
Tonight's debate is about you, about your job, the taxes you pay, your family.
And we discussed.
We discussed.
Huh.
We discussed. We discussed.
And like your last reversal on Gordon Brown.
So we move forward capital spending from future years into the years of the recession.
And this one says your lips will fuck the wolf. Oh boy, that could conjure up all sorts of weird sexual images, couldn't it? Your lips will fuck the wolf.
Your lips will fuck the wolf.
Huh.
Your lips will fuck the wolf. Your lips will fuck the wolf.
Oh, I don't even want to tell you what mental image that creates. Wow. All right, okay. So that's all from the UK debates. We're going to move on now, and we're going to listen to reversals. I found changing topics altogether. These are the reversals I found on some Alzheimer's patients when I was worked in an aged care facility at one stage. So reversals were clearer than the forwards. Now listen to this. That's the forwards, and backwards she says, "Are you friend?" There it is. Okay, are you friend? And here's another one. And backwards she says, "Give me a flower." Wonder if you're hearing that. A little bit hard to see it, isn't it? Recording's not the best. I may move on. I'll play a couple more. And she says, "I am one pain." Oh, yeah. Yep. So, I am one pain. Okay, I am one pain. This lady may be in pain. She may need some help. Okay, here we go. The next one.
Get a nice cardigan.
And here she says, "I'm in touch, all the strength." Wow. This is actually a conversation between the nurse and the patient. The first reversal is on her, which says all the strength. And she replies by saying, "I'm in touch." So here's the nurse. And she says, "I'm in touch." Here it is again. And here's a patient, "I'm in touch." So we have this direct communication going on, conversation. The nurse is telling her that she's got the strength that she needs, all the strength, and she responds by saying, "I'm in touch." So there we go. So good little reversed conversation going on there. That's quite wonderful. Here's the next one. And this one is "My good friend." Oh yeah. There it is. Yeah, it's all there. Okay, next one along. Let me see. Oh, gee, we've got quite a few here. We're not going to have time to get through them all. All right. Oh, wow. Gee, I've got quite a few. You know, we're going to have to continue this next week because we've only got about a minute to go. Well, we've done. All right. We'll be back at the top of after this break, folks, for my interview with Alexander Nelson, Reverse Speech client. She's got an amazing story to tell you all. See you in a short while. Would you like to change your life? Maybe access your deepest potential? Do you have blocks that hold you back, or long-term issues you haven't been able to resolve? Then Reverse Speech Session Work is for you. With Reverse Speech Session Work, your voice is recorded and then analysed for speech reversals. These reversals will give a detailed look into the unconscious mind and pinpoint precise reasons for current behavioural problems. Then following another recording, a series of metaphoric journeys into the unconscious mind are mapped out and delivered to you. These journeys will change deep unconscious structures and hence current behaviour. Change your life today. Sign up for Reverse Speech Session Work. Go to www.reversespeech.com or call 503-568-7077.
Known worldwide as the most consistently fascinating, informative, and unique program on radio, the Jeff Rense program can be yours to listen to anytime, anywhere, whenever you want to hear it. For pennies a day, our subscribers can download any of Jeff's thousands of programs featuring a treasury of newsmakers, researchers, eyewitnesses, and incredible subjects, all in MP3 commercial-free, crystal-clear 56-bit digital sound, and take these often unforgettable programs with them wherever they go. As a subscriber, you can also listen live at airtime, online, anywhere in the world, or browse through our archives of over 6,000 hours of legendary broadcasts. Subscribe now by taking the link at the top of Rense.com and enrich your mind with the most unique panorama of vital information and the best independent, honest journalism in radio. Look for the Subscribe Now link on Rense.com and give yourself the knowledge you need for these unprecedented times. You're listening to the Rense Radio Network, nationwide and worldwide on the net and at Rense.com.
This is your host, David John Oates. You're listening to the weekly Reverse Speech Show, brought to you by the Rense Radio Network. And I'll be on Jeff Rense's show this evening from 9 to 10 with all the latest reversals. Got to go through them all yet. Sent a couple hundred of them. So after we finish this show, I'll be sorting through all the reversals for the Rense show from 9 to 10 this evening. So don't miss me on that. Okay, in this hour, I am bringing to the microphone Alexander Nelson. Alexander has been a client of mine for many years now. We first met, I don't know, maybe she can remember, many years ago. And with a successful round of session work, she since embarked upon a new round just very, very recently, which has also had success. So I thought I would bring her on the show and she can tell us all about it. Alexander, welcome to the show.
David, how are you?
I'm doing well. Well, yeah. So when did we first meet? It was few years ago, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. I had, of course, heard you on the various talk radio programs over the years and had always been just in awe of your work. I just felt that it was astounding and was very attracted to it as a mode of understanding this more subtle layer of life. And at one point, I think it was about 2010 maybe, I had an issue of concern with my daughter.
Right.
And that's why I called you the first time, was to see if we could do something to help resolve what I felt to be a distancing in our relationship that really wasn't warranted anymore, and turned to you for help.
Right. Yes, and we did a series of, we did a normal process, which was a recording, followed by, we just did one round, didn't we? One round?
Yes, it was very quick. I was just so surprised at how immediate it was. The issue was interesting to me in that as a parent, we all make mistakes as parents. You know, we're not perfect. And I had subjected my daughter during her adolescence to a less than ideal situation that really hurt her emotionally. And over the continuation of our lives growing up, at that point she would have been about 25, we had resolved it on the surface, but there was still a feeling of not quite right. And I really longed for that as a parent. So in working with you, I talked about that issue, and you went through the process with the MetaWalks. And after the first MetaWalk, I should preface this, forgive me, but my daughter was she didn't really stay in contact too well. You know, there weren't regular phone calls or emails, that kind of thing. Although we had a cordial relationship, it wasn't terribly close. So when we did the first MetaWalk, I think within, what was it, David? It was like 5 hours or 5 minutes. It was just right away. I got an email from my daughter saying that she wanted to come visit. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
That's fantastic. Yes.
Talk about instant gratification.
Indeed. Yes. Wow.
And that relationship has gone on to be very comfortable for both of us, and everything's fine in that department. I think the next time I came to you was for help with a difficulty in my business life.
Yep.
And we did a little work with that, and it resolved itself pretty well, but not in quite the astonishing way that my daughter's example did. But the third session we did, I think, really takes the cake. And I think that's why you asked me to come on tonight.
Yes. Classic one. Well, look, before we move into that, I want to talk about your daughter a little bit more. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it was within a few hours of the MetaWalks that she rang.
She emailed saying that she wanted to come visit.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And since then, you've gone on and built a wonderful relationship.
Oh, yeah. Everything's very nice. She's coming to visit me next week, as a matter of fact.
Was she? Oh, good. Yeah.
And she also invited me to travel with her to Japan this summer. So you can see everything's fine.
Oh, yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, I've had great success with working with Australian families. It's one of the things I have very good success with is reuniting parent with child and fixing up difficult relationships. I don't know why reverse speech is so successful in that area, but it is.
Well, in my own work with nutrition and healing, I find that people who are really ill often respond the most quickly. So when you look at this kind of a relationship, a family relationship is the most important in one's life. And when there's something off there, life just does not feel good. And I think, as compared to the example of the subsequent round we did with the business, which I wasn't as invested in, frankly. I was just looking for some guidance and a way to get through it, which we did. But with my daughter, it was very important to me. So.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I'm working with another lady right now. I should get her on the program too, who also had a very strained relationship with her daughter, and daughter's just recently emailed her, and they're getting back together and talking. And
well, there you go.
Yeah.
It's just delightful when you think about it.
Oh, it is. Yeah. It's just funny how reverse speech does so well in that area. Yeah. It also does well in the area of business and removing money blocks. That's probably half of my clients are for that reason. So let's talk about your business areas.
Well, I think not too long ago you had an interview on this program with a woman, I think from England. And I was listening to it, and at the time, I was in a very different place than I'm in now. I had some significant worries and some physical illnesses that were hampering my progress. And as I listened to her story, she was talking about how she had found, I think it was a business program that involved some sort of natural, was it skincare products or something in that line? And she was wondering whether this was the right group to work with. And the two of you dug into her material and determined that it was a profitable and beneficial direction for her. And in that moment, I thought, I'm just going to call David because I'm tired of being stuck in this place where I am in such misery, not only over business, but there was also a legal matter that was impinging on my happiness as well. So I think that's when I called you for the last session.
Yeah. And business-wise, things are just flying ahead, aren't they? Tell me about your latest trip.
Well, it's just a little bit complicated, and if the audience will bear with me, I'll try to sketch it out as simply as I can. I think, David, that show must have been in the early fall, because at that time I was flat in bed. I had a severe case of vertigo that was so bad I would throw up if I stood up. And I work in part of my life at that time especially, I was working as a physical trainer using anti-gravity fitness, which is a form of aerial yoga, which I had adapted to make it available for my clientele who are disabled, paraplegics, vets, people like that. So I was not able to work, and I was just feeling rotten. And the reason I got the attack of vertigo was that I had experienced a very severe triggering event that reignited a long existing case of post-traumatic stress disorder. About 15 years ago, I had been the victim of a violent criminal event. And like so many others, it led to PTSD, and I would have fainting spells. I wouldn't want to leave the house. I was frightened a lot. I had a lot of issues to overcome, and I did do a lot of counseling work and personal work, body work, health and nutrition. I used everything I could to try to move through that. But nonetheless, here I was. There was a sudden triggering of that PTSD by a resurgence of a legal matter which was out of my control. And in the moment of getting the phone call for that, I fell on the floor with a vertigo attack and began throwing up. So there I was in bed, and there was your program, and I thought, I know David can help. So I called you about those two things, both the legal matter, and by the time you and I gotten on the phone, I think, David, I was beginning to work with a new nutritional program that ultimately became extremely helpful in moving me forward to wholeness and health. So I had you look at both of those things. I had you look at the nutritional material and the company behind it because I wanted to work with them. And I also asked you to help me close the door on the part of my life that had led to years of debilitating PTSD layered with this court case. And those were the two things we worked on, and we did very well, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did. Great success. What do you handle first? Let's handle the PTSD.
Okay.
So, how long did that take before you saw those results from the first one?
Well, I don't have a sense of calendar days. I know that the cycle of your work, we work about once a week, and there are how many sessions? About 6 or 8? Yeah, about 8 sessions, so 8 weeks. I know that my PTSD had already had me in bed for about 6 weeks when I called you. And this was an astonishing coincidence, not only of, and I'm sure many of your listeners know this very well, how life is so multidimensional that in the moment of realizing that I wanted to work with you to address these situations, other things began to appear as well to aid that work. And one of them was, by chance, finding when you're in the evening, you might be looking at your computer, and certainly I was with vertigo. I was flat on my back. And you look at a YouTube, and over on the side will be these other little thumbnails of YouTubes, hoping that you might click on them next. And my eye caught one that said, ALS reversal, Duke University trial. Now let that sink in a moment. ALS reversal, Duke University trial. I thought, that's impossible. I was working with a vet at the time, not he particularly, but another vet who had wanted this other person to come into our program who had ALS. And I was keyed into understanding more about ALS. Many of my guys and gals have serious other issues like spina bifida, spinal stenosis, MS. And I thought, I'll just open that up because that just can't be true. Nothing reverses ALS. So I opened it up, and there I saw the work of a doctor named Richard Bedlack, who's been the director of the ALS Research Center at Duke University for the last 15 years. And in looking at his material, I realized that he had a program now underway with a clinical trial with the FDA, testing a series of products that had reversed ALS in one of his clients. So at the time I was reaching out to you for help, I was also stumbling onto this new material. So they were happening at the same time, and they were mutually supportive.
Right, well, that's how sexual work works. It brings the synchronicities into your life to allow this to happen.
Well, this could not have happened at a better time or in a more definite way, because as we started our work, I think maybe on the second phone call with you, you probably remember I sounded rather ecstatic, really happy, and telling you about how after starting these products myself, I was out of bed feeling like I was, I don't know, it was like being a 12-year-old. I felt this beautiful enthusiasm for life. I no longer procrastinated. I did not ever want to see another game of computerized solitaire again. I was up and busy and doing things and so invigorated and happy. And with that attitude, we launched into the rest of the work. And I remember saying something to you like, David, I have found something that I know pulls all of my passion and skills together in one business model. All my life as an adult, I've been interested in exercise and diet, nutritional supplementation, all those things. And this product line allowed me to work with my clients, these disabled folks, and see some pretty astounding results, which if we have time, we might touch on. But at that point, I was just so glad to be healthy myself. And I said to you, it's time we just close the door on this other mess, this legal problem, and I'm ready to move on. So we just need to get it dismissed. It needs to go away. And this court case, David, you'll recall, had been underway for 4 years at this time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah.
And the first time we addressed it in my second session with you, it was because of this court case and some other business things, and they seemed to recede. They went kind of quiet for about 2 years. I never heard anything. And then suddenly with this incident that I referred to in this conversation that triggered my vertigo, I was aware that the case was alive and they were coming after me and they wanted a lot of money for something I had not done. So I have a wonderful attorney, and with your help, he began we began working with it in our MetaWalk, and it started showing up in the metaphors, didn't it, and the reversals. I'm a little vague on all those details, so I'll turn to you for notes on that. But it seems to me that very quickly we began to I know you kept wanting the attorney from the other side to be in the MetaWalk, and he would show up. He'd be like an inch tall. I mean, he was just this little tiny know-nothing. And the other part of the MetaWalk would be open and beautiful and growing, and this other stuff would just be, we would just kind of push it off to the side. It was really interesting. It happened so quickly on the internal levels. The work we did together definitely helped me move quickly into what I now think of as the current phase of my life.
Right.
So it worked very well.
Yes. Now, we used She-Wolf, if I remember correctly. I'm just going through the files. Oh, no, we didn't.
Well, I've been very fortunate in that She-Wolf has been with me time and time again in the reversals.
Right.
And in the MetaWalks, this is something I asked you about the last time we worked with her. In the very beginning with my daughter's work, She-Wolf was like a nice she-wolf. She was sort of the size of a normal wolf, and she was right there. But now my she-wolf she's the size of the universe. I mean, she's huge. I don't know how to tell you how big she is. She's so big. She just keeps getting larger every time I see her in the MetaWalks. And to me, that's a very positive thing. I don't feel overwhelmed by it at all. I feel very good about it.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I remember when I first started experimenting with She-Wolf, I had a death threat, a really nasty death threat, and so She-Wolf was guarding my house, but she was so tall, she was standing over the top of my house, if you know what I mean.
There you go. That's exactly what I'm talking about. My She-Wolf is huge. And I don't know, David, I just think that I don't know how to share the process quite with the audience, because it was like a song and dance. It was really quite lyrical and beautiful to watch, because even though dealing with this lawsuit and my attorney on the phone, who I had instructed the attorney never to call me unless it was absolutely necessary, because it would trigger these horrible anxiety states of PTSD in me. But by this time with your work, I was strong enough to say to my attorney at one point, look, you just need to get this case dismissed. It's a ridiculous case. There's no reason for it to go on, and there's nothing for them here at all. They need to go away. Just go and make that happen. So we continued. And then a week or so later, I got a phone call from my attorney, and he wanted to discuss the steps we would need to take to complete what he called a series of depositions that would prove to the court that it should be dismissed. And I said, I really don't want to do that. It's going to be very expensive. Are you sure we have to do that? And he said, yes, I'm afraid that is the only way through. And I said, well, what is the other attorney like that you're talking to on the other side? What does he think is going on? And my attorney got very silent. And he said, well, I haven't wanted to mention this to you, but the other attorney thinks you have a lot of money because he thinks that you've had a sex change operation. And when he said that, I stood there. It was one of those Laurel and Hardy moments where you just stood there and you're waiting for the laughter to catch up with you because you're so astonished. I mean, it was just, I thought, this is so bizarre. And I thought, I wonder what that other attorney's inner life is like, that's where his imagination goes. In any event, with that, I said to him, okay, that's all we need. This is absolutely insane. You use that particular phrase, and you go back to the court and you say, this is what they think of my client, and this is utterly ridiculous, and we want it over with.
Classic. That's just classic reaction. I just call that reaction. The work we did sent the other attorney into reaction, and it came up with unbelievable.
Well, what I love about it is it gave us the actual theatrical mechanism, the device to end the story. because it was so patently absurd. And I'm sure the court had a good laugh over it, too. I had to send in photographs of myself. They wanted a photograph from a certain date and another photograph from a recent date to show that I was, I sent in my driver's license and my passport to prove that I was female at both times, and I'm still female. As my daughter said, "But Mom, you have me. Of course you're a woman." So it was just really strange. But it got it over with, so there it is.
So you shame them into I
did.
Dismissing. Yes.
That's the exact word I used in the written instructions to my attorney and his boss. I said, you shame them into dismissing it.
All right, just hang on a sec. We've got to go to a break. We'll be back right after this, folks.
What if we already know how to prevent and to reverse every known so-called disease? What if the government is in cahoots with the allopathic system to hide this information from you to keep you weak and enslaved to their system? What if living a higher quality of life than you ever thought possible was available to you now? Well, it's true. It's easier and more cost-effective than you think, and so life-changing that your only regret will not be having done it sooner. Because you already know what the answer is. Royal Velvet Pure. You've heard Jeff talk about it. You've heard the incredible testimonies that it has scores of benefits and it works for everyone. Now you may not know this. We have partnered with Jeff to empower you, giving you an opportunity we do not give anyone else. When you buy 2 Royal Velvet Pure, we give you another one free. Want to take that first step toward freedom and positive transformation? Go to royalvelvetnow.com. Click on the rinse icon in the upper right-hand corner or call us toll-free, 1-877-488-7423.
Would you like to change your life? Maybe access your deepest potential? Do you have blocks that hold you back? Or long-term issues you haven't been able to resolve? Then Reverse Speech Session Work is for you. With Reverse Speech Session Work, your voice is recorded and then analysed for speech reversals. These reversals will give a detailed look into the unconscious mind and pinpoint precise reasons for current behavioural problems. Then following another recording, a series of metaphoric journeys into the unconscious mind are mapped out and delivered to you. These journeys will change deep unconscious structures and hence current behaviour. Change your life today. Sign up for Reverse Speech Session Work. Go to www.reversespeech.com or call 503-568-7077. Okay, we get back to the final segment of the weekly Reverse Speech Show. My guest is Alexandra Nelson. We are talking about some of her success that she's had with session work. So,
Indeed.
basically, great success. So, we had the lawsuit dismissed. That's just incredible stuff. And you didn't have to go through all those depositions either, right?
Not a one.
Yeah, there you go.
It was neat and clean, and they signed the paperwork and sent it to me. So, thank you. It was wonderful to get that off of my worry list.
Yeah. So, basically, we've really had the 3 successes with you. One is reuniting you with your daughter, getting you a business success with your current business, and now the lawsuit dismissed. So,
Indeed. And you know, David, I was remembering, if we have time to go into this, I don't know what your remember that one reversal about, was it Rosalind? Is that the name? Or
Rosalind, yeah. Yes.
Right. And remember how out of keeping that seemed with the general tone of that particular series. And I'm thinking that, the kind of prurient, awful tone to this lawyer's suspicion about me, it was just so out of keeping with me that I'm wondering if there was some association there with that. Because it was right after the Rosalind reversal that we learned about this thingy, the sex change.
I personally believe that yes, we got rid of Rosalind. I'm trying to find that reversal.
It was like Rosalind Shaft or something like that.
And it sent them into reaction. So they come up with that's classic reaction. Come up with some crazy, unbelievable story.
And the thing from, the business side, I would like to talk a little bit about that because I think it might be of interest to others in the audience. I think you do get a lot of requests for work with sorting out people's business choices, don't you?
Oh, yes, I do. Yeah. Yes, a lot of work. Yes.
And part of the reaction for me with PTSD was that I had gotten into the situation I was in that caused it through bad business affiliations. I kept choosing business partners who were criminals. And I began to doubt my ability to make any decisions. So I was really hampered. And so now when I was looking at this, what I thought were wonderful products, and I checked out the company's bona fides in terms of legal history and Better Business Bureau, and I looked on the web rather thoroughly. I also met some of the executives, the president and chief science officer. I've spoken with him many times. So I tried to do diligence on that, but I still was, needing some affirmation, and I remembered the wonderful work you'd done with that lady in London. So we did also examine the potential for my business progress. And I think the thing that was very helpful was that even though the general thrust of the reversals regarding comments on my business work, even though the general thrust was very positive and really pretty clean and healthy, there were occasional little tiny out-of-keeping reversals that helped you identify the final stumbling blocks within me. Not within the business itself, but it was more my approach and my self-doubt and things like that. And I began to feel the shift on a personal level. I have an incredibly different level of self-confidence now, appropriate to my age and experience, I think, instead of being hampered the way I was with all the scary thoughts about failure and picking the wrong situation. So that's another thing that's been very helpful for me.
Yeah, well, I think if I'm surprised more people don't come to me for working on their business, given the results I get. It's it's more than just working on the it's more than just working on the unconscious. Well, it is working on the unconscious, but what people need to realize is that the unconscious creates and manifests the world in which we live. So if you can change the deep unconscious structures properly, you're also going to change the physical reality. That's why the lawsuit gets dismissed. That's why your daughter returns. That's why the business improves, because we're not just changing your unconscious. We're changing the world in which you live. Does that make sense?
Oh, and I can feel it so definitely. It's like a whole different world.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's, when I first discovered reverse speech, I was a novice. I flunked high school. I knew nothing about human mind or consciousness or anything. So it's a real journey of discovery for me and finding myself in this whole new field. And I made the decision way back in the early days that if reverse speech is the voice of the unconscious, then I'll let it be my teacher. What can it teach me about the unconscious mind? And so all my knowledge of human consciousness and behavior has come through reverse speech. And everything reverse speech teaches me. And, it teaches me that we are divine creatures. We have the power of creation in our grasp. We are creating and manifesting now. And our whole world is a reflection of the unconscious. So you can change the world by changing the unconscious. I know it seems fairly simple to me, but but some people have trouble grasping it.
Well, I love the way you language that, because unlike an academic who might be full of attitudes and, preconceptions about the unconscious, you allowed the unconscious to have a voice.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Very
yes.
simple.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Yeah, and personally, I'm actually glad that I didn't know anything about anything when I started doing this, because I had no preconceived notions or belief systems that had to be changed. It was like a whole brand new slate.
Indeed.
Yes, I had someone online the other day say I was a linguistic brick.
What?
A linguistic brick. I knew nothing about linguistics at all. Yes, I discovered personally I could have linguistic.
Oh, David, I imagine by this time, after how many years? 40 years, you've heard just about everything.
Oh, yes. I never heard that one before. That was a new one. Linguistic brick. I've been for a couple of weeks now. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Funny things that happen. So, yes, I guess I am, really. So, they go. One day, linguists are going to have to try to unravel everything I've discovered and put it into some sort of framework. I wish them luck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dear. Anyway, so
sorry, go ahead. No, I was just going to say my business life is, I hesitate to even think of it as business because it's really predicated on, I work as what's called an epigenetic consultant. What that means is I'm basically a product specialist who understands the correct use of our company's products for different conditions. And our products are not simply vitamin powders, although some of them are vitamin powders. The gearing behind our products is in the form of a substance that I'd never heard of before called lunasin. Okay. It's a peptide that's found naturally in every single seed on the face of the earth. And what this particular peptide does is quite remarkable and to me has spiritual meaning. I'm not speaking now as a representative of the company. I'm speaking from my own experience. It seems to me that when I began using these products, I healed very quickly on a physical, emotional, and spiritual level. It really was a very tangible effect. And I couldn't understand how it could happen so quickly. So I dug into the science and kept studying and learning more of how it worked. It's the basis of a field called nutrigenomic medicine or epigenetic healing. Okay. The epigenome is the outer layer of the genome, and it's the interface where you can think of the chemistry in the blood system or whatever fluids are flowing by. That's where the chemistry takes place with the actual strands of the DNA that stick out called histone tails. And over time and with environmental stress and personal stress, those histone tails can be damaged, or bad genes can be turned on and good ones turned off, and then lo and behold, you come down with a nasty disease. Back in '96, a researcher named Dr. Galvez, who was at UC Berkeley at the time and is now, I think he's still head of the human genomics lab there, he discovered this peptide accidentally and saw that it had a mechanism of action that caused it to repair these broken histone tails. It would literally wrap itself around these tails. And that way he began to explore what it could do for healing and soon discovered that this lunasin was just beautifully designed. As he put it, someone asked him, how does it know how to turn off the bad genes and which ones to turn on? And Dr. Galvez, as a scientist, said, we scientists really don't know. But what I think happened is that over the time that man has been on the face of the earth and eating every tree, every fruit, every seed, as God said in Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, that he's put every seed there for our food. And we know lunasin is found in every seed. So he thinks that over time, as we evolved eating these foods, that lunasin was perfectly adapted as a human genetic regulator. It would come in and make the repairs as necessary based on our daily intake of food. Oh. Now run that forward to the current era where we bump into the ceiling of Monsanto, depleted soils, industrial food, and big pharma. We no longer get that lunasin in our food. And that's why we see this tremendous rise in illnesses. 1 in 40 boys has autism. 1 in 3 people will get cancer. I mean, it's just astounding. We now have this epigenetic factor for healing. I have cases of serious chronic conditions like MS where an individual is paralyzed, basically, who after using the products is able to regain health.
That's incredible.
It is, and it just reminds me that it's just food. The stuff that I'm working with is just food. There's no medicine in it, no drug. So I have great hope for the future of our well-being, knowing that these products are now available to people.
How come we're not hearing more about them?
Well, I think you will in the short period. There have been over 6,000 research papers written on lunasin. There are clinical trials galore. Our company's lunasin is the only patented one on the market because of the way it's manufactured, the way it's processed. We don't use the harsh chemicals, and we use a selected strain of soy that's grown in protected fields away from the GMO contamination, cross-contamination with other soy. It's very important that these super strains, when I say super strain, they've identified these strains that have a high level of lunasin in them innately. They have not been modified. These are natural strains. And our company works very closely with an outfit called the Missouri Plant Science Center, who help us with that feedstock. It's just 20 minutes from the company's factory where things are processed and put into formulas. The company's been there for 30 years, and it's run by a family. And they have a high degree of conscientiousness and a sense of duty to help people heal. They started the company because they themselves were ill, and they found a doctor, Dr. Ted Galoris, who was in World War II as an Army medical guy, and he was parachuted in behind enemy lines to treat the wounded soldiers, and he was shot in the back by machine gun fire as he descended, and he was paralyzed for life. He was sent home in great pain in a wheelchair and spent the rest of that century, the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, perfecting a herbal formula to help himself heal because he knew that drugs would not help him. He eventually did get out of his chair, but he and the other couple who formed the company together did it on the basis of that product, and the company still has that product.
All right. So if people want to get a hold of this, and how can they get a hold of you?
Well, I'm easy to reach. I think my email address would be simplest.
Yep.
And that's Nelson.
Yes.
.relive, spelled RELIV, @gmail.com. So it's NELSON .RELIV, as in Victor, @gmail.com. As I say, this is not really a business so much as it is a calling for me. I love the work I do and seeing people regain their health. It's just amazing. Yeah. I love it. Or as my daughter says, no, Mom, it's not amazing. It's science. So she's a scientist. She's got a PhD. So.
Oh, good on her. Good on her. Yeah. Well, it's nice to know she's behind you and supporting you in it. So that's great. Yeah. So what do you see your future with the company as being?
Well, that's something I don't really dwell on. I know that I'm in my mid-60s. So I'm hoping that by gaining more confidence with the tough cases that I work with, and I have cases in Europe and Australia, New Zealand, and all over the States, of course, but those cases are teaching me so much, and my confidence not only in the products but in my ability to guide the use of the products is really growing. I'm hoping that over time that I can create some programs. I don't know if we'll be able to do it or not, because it would involve government level funding or resources of some sort, but I would love to see what we currently do internationally is we run feeding centers for children in the Philippines and Haiti, basically children found in rough condition on the street, little babies, and we take them to the feeding centers and they're fed twice a day with these nutritious supplements. And we take them through high school. Many of them go on to college. I would love to see that program brought into the inner cities in the States, into nursing homes, and with the vets. Yeah. We have some really overlooked populations. They need support. They need help. And my guys who are working with these products are doing extremely well. So I would love to see that grow.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, well, I'm sure it's going to grow too. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, now that you and reverse speech have swept the impediments out of the way, so it's wonderful. I'm looking forward to the last session or two of our current cycle. It's been amazing.
Yeah, yes. Well, I had a Metawalk already for you this week, but since the lawsuit got dismissed, this was going to attack the lawsuit. I thought best to let sleeping dogs lie and not do it. So,
yeah. Well, thank you, David, very much.
Well, thank you. You are a great person to work with. I really enjoy working with you, and you're getting some fantastic results,
Well, I think after my daughter's session, I made a little testimonial video. It may still be on your website. And at the end of it, I said, look, if no matter what it is, no matter what your concern or problem is, don't hesitate. Don't wait. Call David and get to work on it because it really will change. And
yes, it really will. Yeah, it really will. Yeah, I just get great results with session work. And more, just in the last couple of years, I've been been working with a real premium, getting some great shifts because I've been doing session work now for 25 years, So
I guess you're getting pretty good at it.
I guess I am. I better be. Otherwise, there's something wrong.
Well, I really do appreciate it, and I'm so glad that I didn't. How when you hear things on the radio shows, it might sound good, but you might hesitate to call, and I'm awfully glad I reached out to you. You were so quick to respond. I mean, you take care of the administrative side of this so efficiently, and you are so responsive to the little extra demands that might take place in a case. There have been many times when we've gone over and you've continued to work that issue until it cleared, with an extra session as needed. You were always very generous with your time.
Oh, yeah, I'll always do that. Yeah.
Yes, you did. Yeah. Great.
Yes, I'm working for results. That's what I want.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I can add much more tonight, and I probably should bow out and let you continue with your interesting show. I don't know what else I can contribute.
Oh, well, it's okay, Alexander. Thanks for coming on. I wanted you to get your story out there. I particularly wanted the sex change operation out. And that's just classic reaction.
Oh my God!
Reaction. And,
that was just so. I mean, that totally blindsided me. It was the last thing I expected the attorney to say.
It was. Yeah.
Oh my.
All right, Alex. Well, thanks for coming on the show and getting your story out. And,
you're very sweet to invite me. I enjoyed it. It was great fun. Thank you.
We've got an appointment next week sometime, I guess.
We do indeed. We do indeed.
So I'll see you then. Okay.
Yes, right. And until then, lots of love to all of you, everyone out there. Just keep on with David.
Thank you. All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that was Alexander Nelson, a client of mine for 3 or 4 years now. So, and I will continue to bring clients on the show every now and then, because that's a very important part of the whole reverse speech process, is the whole session work side of it. That's where you are really putting into practice and making something happen. It's more than just an interesting discovery that I have made. It is. It goes far deeper than that, and it's into the unconscious and who we are as people and why we do the things that we do. It's a real revelation into our inner selves. And I'm starting to plan my next book now. It's going to be called The Small Still Voice, and it's all about the wonderful bits of information that reverse speech gives us over the years. I mean, you can hear reversals giving guidance and advice, telling us what we should do next. I mean, the voice of the intuition or the unconscious is constantly speaking, and many of us are just not in tune with it. We're totally deaf to it. Doesn't mean it's not speaking. It just means that we're not listening, or over the years, through whatever means that we've used, we've learned to ignore it and to become deaf to it. But it's constantly there, constantly communicating. It is the voice of the spirit. It's an independent intelligence. An independent intelligence inside of us that is constantly giving commentary. All right. In the last few minutes, I want to give a bit of a plug for the training course. Training class starts tomorrow. If you want a new career, you want to be involved in something very exciting that will transform society eventually, then I invite you to take training. Become one of the elite people in the world who can do reverse speech. We'll teach you all you need to know: how to find and locate, identify reversals, how to interpret them, and then we get into the how to change human nature and behaviour with reverse speech, because I've developed a whole therapeutic process around it, which uses reverse speech to diagnose a problem, and then give solutions, and then these solutions are then administered to the clients through a series of meta walks. But a meta walks, which is a guided visualization journey through the unconscious. So I teach all of this in class. 1 year course. It will do 2 6-month courses. The first 6 months is the analyst certificate, and that certificate teaches you how to locate and interpret reversals accurately. And then the second course is the practitioner certificate, and that's another 6 months, and that's where I teach the meta walks and the hypnosis and how to change behaviour and personality. So it's a very exciting course, a real exploration into the unconscious and who we really are as people, and also becoming one of the founders of reverse speech. And we'd love to have you. Call me after the show. I get a pen out. Here's my number. It's an American number. It's 503-568-7077. That's 503-568-7077. Or you can sign up through the website. Go to reversespeech.com. reversespeech.com, and click on the training sections of the site, and you can sign up through the site. And but don't muck around. The class starts in about 15 hours from now, so you better get into it first thing in the morning for those on the East Coast. West Coast. All right. Thanks everyone for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Brand new show. Hi all. you like to change your life? Maybe access your deepest potential? Do you have blocks that hold you back, or long-term issues you haven't been able to resolve? Then reverse speech session work is for you. With reverse speech session work, your voice is recorded and then analysed for speech reversals. These reversals will give a detailed look into the unconscious mind and pinpoint precise reasons for current behavioural problems. Then following another recording, a series of metaphoric journeys into the unconscious mind are mapped out and delivered to you. These journeys will change deep unconscious structures and hence current behaviour. Change your life today. Sign up for reverse speech session work. Go to www.reversespeech.com or call 503-568-7077.
Known worldwide as the most consistently fascinating, informative, and unique program on radio, the Jeff Rense program can be yours to listen to anytime, anywhere, whenever you want to hear it. For pennies a day, our subscribers can download any of Jeff's thousands of programs featuring a treasury of newsmakers, researchers, eyewitnesses, and incredible subjects, all in MP3 commercial-free, crystal-clear 56-bit digital sound, and take these often unforgettable programs with them wherever they go. As a subscriber, you can also listen live at airtime, online, anywhere in the world, or browse through our archives of over 6,000 hours of legendary broadcasts. Subscribe now by taking the link at the top of Rense.com and enrich your mind with the most unique panorama of vital information and the best independent, honest journalism in radio. Look for the Subscribe Now link on Rense.com and give yourself the knowledge you need for these unprecedented times. You're listening to the Rense Radio Network, nationwide and worldwide on the net and at Rense.com.